Hey, Myagi here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a really cool transition noise using Ableton's analog synth and a chain of effects, including a couple simple delays and some filters. So to let you hear the sound that we're working towards here, I'll just solo it, and here we go. So it's a nice upward sweep that keeps on rising after the end of the note off here. That's because of what we're doing with the delays and the filters. So I'll let you hear it in the context of a tune. That way you can actually hear why sounds like this are so cool to use and so important in your track. So really cool, stays on the offbeats and very rhythmic, and it keeps on rising as the track progresses, which helps to create a sense of kind of forward momentum and motion and progression. So to begin with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these effects and power them down. Go back and we'll have a look at what I'm doing with Ableton's analog synth here. So Oscillator 1 and Oscillator 2 are both sounding. They're both sawtooth waves. There's a little bit of noise in the mix as well. They're an octave apart, detuned slightly, and both oscillators have pitch envelopes on them, and this is what's making the rising effect. The pitch envelopes are timed so that they reach their crescendo at the end of this bar. So as this note sounds, they go up, 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 and they do so at slightly different rates and with slightly different timing. And what that does is it creates a situation where the two oscillators are slightly off from each other in terms of the rise. So there's a little bit of an analog style beating effect. So let's just hear that. So it's a really cool noise, but it really starts coming alive in the next section, which is this series of effects. So to begin with, I'm going to put on this simple delay, and I'll show you what I've done with that. It's set up so it's in time mode as opposed to beat sync mode, 45 millisecond and 30 millisecond respectively on the left and right channels, which are relatively short delay times, and there's a fair amount of feedback on it. And so what that does is it just creates a little bit of shimmer to the output of analog, and makes it a little bit more interesting a sound. So I'll let you hear that. So yeah, just a little bit cooler and a little bit more for the next stage to work with. The next stage is this low pass filter here. So it's actually an instance of Ableton's analog or Ableton's EQ8, and it's macro mapped so that frequency and Q are both mapped to macro 1. And following the same kind of curve as the pitch envelope, macro 1 rises from a very low setting at the start of this bar to a very high setting at the end. So let's just have a listen to that. So that just helps open the sound up a little bit and again creates a sense of motion. The output of this low pass filter is sent into another simple delay. This one, on the other hand, is beat synced. It's set to quarter note, and it has its feedback automated, going from 0 about halfway through the bar to 88% right at the end of the bar, and that's a ridiculously high amount of feedback. So this creates a noise which will sustain for quite a while after the drop here. So I'll let you hear all of that together. And that'll just keep on going and going and going. And what makes this actually work and not get unbelievably annoying, which it would without the next stage, is this high-pass filter. This high-pass filter, again, is an instance of EQ8, set up to act like a filter. Its frequency and Q are mapped to macro 1 here. And as you can see, like the other stuff that is being automated, there's an upwards rise towards the end of the bar. On the other hand, this keeps on going after the bar, and that's because this actually has a signal to play around with. It's got the delay tail coming off of that simple delay that's right before it. And as it continues to rise, it will filter that delay tail out of the mix so that it doesn't get as incredibly annoying as it could. So we'll have a listen to all of that together. So as it filters out that noise, it continues to rise and rise and rise. And I really like using high-pass filters in this kind of manner because as it filters it out, it creates a sense of kind of upward momentum. As something gets eliminated from a mix in this manner, it creates a sense of, as I said, kind of forward momentum and continuity. Finally, I've got an auto pan in the mix here, and it's, again, automated. In this case, it just kicks in at the end of the bar, so it's essentially off at this point, then jumps up to 50%. It's set to quarter notes with 0 phasing, and what that does is it provides something similar to a sidechain compressor effect, where you've got a quarter note kick drum feeding the sidechain compressor. So I'll let you hear all of that together again. So that rhythmic pumping just makes the noise a little bit more interesting. And finally, I'll take that off solo, bring everything back into the mix, and I'll let you hear the whole thing together for a couple bars. So it's all in all a really cool noise. It's a great way to use a series of filters and delays together, and it's the kind of sound that can really elevate a tune. It doesn't have to just be used in a build-up or a breakdown or something like that. It can also be used just during the meat of a track when you need another element to provide a certain sense of forward motion, but you don't really want to clutter up the track with another whole lead or bass element or something of the like. So yeah, hopefully you get something out of this. It's a really cool series of tricks to add to your sound design arsenal. And thanks for checking this out.